All right, so Evan, if you would do me the pleasure of coming up and introducing our guest speaker, I would appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Evan.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Great to be here, as always. Great to see my United team here, strong, supporting Ricky and his great presentation that he's going to share with you today. My name is Evan Copel. I'm the Director of Sales of the Atlantic region. I'm based here in Northern Virginia. My team covers a lot of the large corporate relationships that we have in this area. And I am a proud member of the Board of Committee for Dulles. So, you know, we are the largest airline here in the DC region, with more flights and destinations than any other carrier, and one of the largest employers in Loudoun County. We have deep roots in this community that go back close to 40 years when we started the hub here at Dulles. We're in the midst of some really exciting growth and infrastructure investments in Dulles and throughout the region, including the upcoming In-Flight Training Center, which our guest speaker is going to talk about today. But before I turn it over to Ricky, this new facility would not be possible without the collaboration and support of many people in this room, including the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, for their close collaboration on the project, and for Dominion Energy, who provided on an expedited manner our power to the new facility. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Ricky. I got to meet him a couple years ago. I got a tour of the Houston In-Flight Training Center, and this guy's got a lot of energy. So I think you're going to really enjoy his presentation. But he's such a genuine and kind and dedicated employee, and I think he's a perfect person to share with you this great new In-Flight Training Center. Ricky started his career 20 years ago right here at Dulles. Dulles-based flight attendant, and he lived here for 7 years. And since that time, he's had several leadership positions within in-flight services, such as training, safety, and recruiting. In his current role as Director of In-Flight Regulatory Training, he's responsible for overseeing FAA regulatory compliance and service training for over 28,000 flight attendants around 8 global training operations. Additionally, he leads the induction training for thousands of new hires every year. When in supporting United's mission of connecting people and uniting the world, his team of over 200 training professionals deliver industry-leading training while exceeding FAA regulatory expectations. He's originally from San Juan, Puerto Rico. He holds a degree in organic sciences from Puerto Rico State University and previously worked as a financial advisor. So his parents are probably wondering, why didn't you use your degree, right? But I did realize that organic sciences is the study of organic chemistry, which is the study of carbon-based compounds, which are in aircraft. So good job. Way to go. When he joined United, he was a language qualified flight attendant, served as an international person for several years. And in breakfast this morning, he shared with me he hardly spoke any English when he first started. So that's why he positioned himself on flights to and from Sao Paulo. He also speaks Portuguese. So really exciting stuff. Fascinated by United's culture and commitment to safety, Ricky became an emergency procedures instructor for over a decade. He also led key safety and service initiatives as an in-flight safety investigator while leading several regional training centers around the United States. Post-pandemic, he led United Next efforts for flight attendant hiring and training, graduating a record-breaking over 10,000 new hires since 2021. Outside of work, he enjoys surfing, staying active with CrossFit and running. He also enjoys listening to audiobooks on personal and professional development. And his bucket list is going on a safari in Africa. So please join me in welcoming Ricky Ramos-Rodrigues.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for that intro. I think I need to come here more often. Hear this a little. Thank you, and thank you for this wonderful, wonderful gathering. I am here to talk a little bit more about what I'm very passionate about, just flight attendant training, not only from a regulatory FAA standpoint, but also service, and how important that is for United. As Evan mentioned, big thank you to all of you that contributed to the success of getting to where we are with this new facility. Hopefully you will enjoy it as much as we are. And without further ado, let me show you what we do in in-flight training every single day with a short video.
Story of a United Airlines flight attendant, one who conquered 6.5 weeks of training and affirmed their destiny with a pair of shining wings. But it's so much more. It's a tale of pride, camaraderie, and unwavering determination. And how would I know this? Well, it was once me. And me.
And me.
And me. But let's start from the beginning. First, you have to look the part. Warm and welcoming is who we are, so it was only fitting that we have a red carpet upon arrival. Training was a time of unforgettable moments, from the excitement of face awards to the adrenaline rush of evacuating an aircraft. Life-saving measures had to be performed to prepare for the most common medical emergencies on board our aircraft. Things really heated up when learning to react to in-flight fires. Evacuation commands and techniques had to be perfected in, let's just say, less than favorable conditions. But there was a catch.
Come this way, and play back. Jump into the water.
The evacuation had to be done in water, too. It was evident early on that safety would be our top priority, but a passion for service grew along the way. Nothing could have prepared me for the rush of emotions the day of graduation.
Well, class 2504, you trusted the process. Now enjoy the journey. See you in the skies.
Congratulations, class. This is now your story.
Very proud of the team, very proud of what we have done. And in-flight training at United is more than just initial training and teaching flight attendants how to serve Cokes and Diet Cokes on board the aircraft. And this is very important for us. We have a regulatory compliance component, which is the most important one. Right? We need to meet and exceed FAA regulations to make sure that we stay on top of safety and security. But it starts with actual training, and that video you watched is how we train the new hires. Since 2021, probably you've heard, United is growing tremendously. Very proud of the growth. And our numbers and our hiring targets are record-breaking. We have hired, like Evan mentioned, over 10,000 flight attendants since 2021, and 10,000 to go. Well, who's counting? A lot more to come, a lot more to come. So we have initial training. Once the new hire graduates, they have to attend recurrent training within 6 months. And that helps us kind of gauge if initial training was effective. And we also do a little refresh on emergency procedures for the new hires. Now, for our seasoned flight attendants, and we have over 28,000 of them around the world, they have to come to training once every 18 months. However, during those 18 months, every quarter they have to complete computer-based training. So they can never touch base with safety, security, and service training, even if it's not in person. Now, when it comes to regulatory compliance, you will see later on, 2024 was a record year for us as well. The FAA completed over 100 audits in all training locations, which is my peers at American and Delta, they had 12 audits average each, and we had 100. And I'll tell you why. We have, now with DC and the training center in Dulles, we have 8 training locations, which is very different than the approach that American and Delta have taken. They have 1 training location, and all of their crew members fly to that location. We have 8 regional training centers, and it's working very well for us for a couple of reasons. One, we keep our flight attendants local. They don't have to travel anywhere to go to regulatory training, and that's a big plus for them. It makes them very happy, and if they're happy, I'm happy, right? But it also helps regionally. The pandemic, for example, was a good example of COVID. When social distancing was in place, having 7 training locations really helped us train 15,000 flight attendants in just 4 months. When American and Delta it took them close to 7 months to train their team members. So that gives you an idea of how important having regional training centers is. This is our current structure. If you don't mind, I'm gonna just, I can't stay behind the podium, so I'm gonna be mingling here. All right, so this is our structure. So we have 8 training locations, including Virginia location, and you have the training distribution. So we have bases in locations where we don't have training centers. For example, Boston, Vegas, Phoenix, and those flight attendants will travel to a hub to attend training. As you can see on the screen, the training center at Dulles we're starting baby stepping it. We're gonna start just training local flight attendants, and by Q1 of next year, we expect to bring other satellite bases into the Dulles Training Center, which is very exciting. And we're doing this deliberately, obviously, because we need the FAA to continue to certify the training, making sure that everything is working correctly. So we're starting local and then expanding. But it's really cool to see the footprint. It's certainly a global operation. We have a small training center in London, and we have a small training center in Guam to serve the flight attendants that are based locally in those hubs. Brings me to our beautiful state-of-the-art new training center here in Chantilly. I want you to put the faces to the names of the new instructors. Out of the 10 instructors, only 1 lived here prior to being hired. All the other 9 are moving to Chantilly as a result of their new job. You have some of the pictures of the facility, and the last couple of weeks have been incredibly rewarding to see it come to life. And right now we're in the final stages, right, Wayne? Yes. The final stages of FAA. I know, we're ready, right? Yes. No, we are. The FAA is coming next week to certify the facility. We plan to go live with the first flight attendant recurring class on May 14th. So very excited. And this is what, and all of you are more than welcome, invited to come join us and visit the facility. This is what you're going to see at the training center. We're going to have state-of-the-art cabin trainers, door trainers, indoor trainers. Every training center, the FAA requires exact replica of the door and emergency equipment on board the aircraft. So we have spent over $3.2 million in regulatory equipment. United has a fleet of 6 different aircraft types, from 737s all the way to 787s, and we have every single door. It has to be calibrated by the manufacturer to be exactly the same as the door that is on board the aircraft. And flight attendants have to demonstrate proficiency in emergency evacuations, normal and non-normal emergencies, right, that they have to respond to. Those are pictures, real flight attendants attending CQ. And this is exactly what you're going, CQ stands for Continuing Qualification, which is the recurrent training for flight attendants. And like I mentioned, it's gonna open in May 14th this year. I love this next slide because it's quick at a glance to give you an idea of the volume that we're going to be bringing to training here in this beautiful training center. The capacity of the location can accommodate up to 800 flight attendants per month. Right now, we're going to be around 350 to 400 flight attendants per month. But having the capacity to go up is why earlier I mentioned we're going to be bringing other satellite bases here. We spend around 500 hours of training every single month. So as flight attendants come through, it's an intense day, it's very rigorous, and they have to demonstrate proficiency. And whoever doesn't, they can't fly until proficiency is met, which is the right thing to do. We are expecting, this is very exciting, right now, IAT has around 2,900 active flight attendants. And by 2032, we're kind of almost doubling the current population of this wonderful base. As Evan mentioned, I was based here. It's, in my opinion, the best hub in the system. I can't wait for my boss to allow me to move back. Because I grew up in this area, I absolutely love it. But this speaks to the commitment that United has to Washington Dulles and the hub. Fun fact, the number of new hires since 2021 that have been assigned Washington Dulles, and in fact, they bid for it. When a new hire is in training in Houston, they bid for what base they want to go to. And DC, Washington, continues to be one of the top two. They're selecting Newark, mostly because of the flying, because they fly a lot of international routes along with Washington Dulles. So over 1,300 new hires have come to this wonderful base since 2021. That is remarkable. Another fun fact, line flight attendants, seasoned flight attendants that are currently flying in the system, they have the ability to transfer. Every 6 months, they can select a new base. And if the base is open, they will get awarded the transfer. We're averaging around 150 seasoned line flight attendants transferring into IAD every single month, which speaks to how incredibly great is the base. The flying is getting better and better, but also speaks to the area. It speaks that how much people want to live here, and we applaud that. Now, on a typical month, we spend, our team conducts over 13,000 emergency drills. And you saw some of the drills on video. That is replicated, and it will be replicated here at the training center. Evacuating aircraft, you saw the flight attendant doing CPR. All of that will take place here as well, except the pool. We don't have a pool here, unfortunately. That is a drill that is required for initial training, not recurrent training. And I keep saying industry leading, but it really, really is. When we talk about initial training, we hire somebody, they go to Houston for 6.5 weeks to learn how to be a flight attendant. But most importantly, it's not just the regulatory component, but it's about the service. And I'm a firm believer that safety always comes first. That will never change. But there's a way to incorporate service and still be safe. So a lot of what we have done this past 5 years in in-flight training is exactly that. For example, how many of you have been on a flight and the flight attendant has to tell somebody the back needs to be all the way under the seat in front of you?
Every time.
Right? It happens to me too. So what we are after is, yes, the regulatory requirement has to be met, but you can do that with a smile. And you can do that with a wonderful approach that leads the customer feeling good. So if a trainee in Houston doesn't demonstrate those type of soft skills, they will not pass training. That's how focused we are on making sure we are safe, but also delivering a great experience for our customers. We will have a total of 10 instructors here at this facility. And even though we're starting with a small number, because as I mentioned, we're not at full capacity, we expect that number to grow as the flight attendant population continues to grow as well. And I mentioned the audits earlier. I'm very proud of those. Technology. In this day and age, we have partnered with the FAA and other airlines. How can we incorporate virtual reality and other new emerging technology to enhance training? So every flight attendant, when they come to recurrent training, they receive an iPad, and part of the training that they can expect is a combination of in-person training, lecture, as well as hands-on, right, the emergency drills, but also VR or virtual reality, which really puts them in a situation we can really replicate in a classroom environment. So for example, de-escalation is one of them. We want our flight attendants to be fully equipped to manage a de-escalation effectively, to avoid obviously inadvertently escalating a situation. Well, it's very hard to replicate that in a scenario. So using VR really help us put them in that situation where we see their heart racing because it feels real, and it's proven to be very beneficial. So we continue to explore that type of technology. And I mentioned customer service, very passionate about it, very, very passionate. And in the last 2.5, 3 years, we have increased customer service training by 133%. That's remarkable. And like I mentioned, a lot of it, almost all of it, is crew scenarios. Learning from a PowerPoint can be beneficial for some, but for me, for example, let me do it. Let me do it again, and let me do it again, and let me do it again until you get it right. So a lot of our training, almost all of it, is crew scenarios in a simulated cabin environment. See this picture down here? It looks like a real plane inside, right? But it's actually that picture on top. This is a simulator, similar to what pilots do, right? In a simulator. And the simulator here in the Dulles facility is the best in the system. Don't tell my team because they're already jealous. It's state of the art. It came directly from the manufacturer in Dubai, actually. Right, Wayne? It's a beautiful, beautiful cabin trainer. Can't wait for all of you to see it. And finally, I just want to close with how important it is for our crews, how they're making their customers feel. I mentioned the example of the bag under the seat, but that interaction has to be positive, regardless of the circumstance. So again, thank you to everybody that contributed to the success of this new facility. We're going to be using it. It's going to be a daily operation. I was telling Jack how busy it's going to be. We expect up to 28 classes per month. And we can do 30 because of what we call the flight attendant mid-month, is the month end a little bit before the 30th of the month. Otherwise, I will squeeze 35 classes if I could. So 28 classes every single month. Each class is capped at 24 flight attendants, but we also have the ability to have a second track. So you have a class of 24 students and a class of 12 students running simultaneously. So looking forward to the day where this space has over 5,000 flight attendants, so we can have those dual tracks. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Again, honor being here, a pleasure. Very excited about this opportunity, and very excited to for our Dulles-based flight attendants to have a training center they can go home. Right now they go to Chicago, and talking to them, they are thrilled that they're going to be staying here locally. So thank you for having me. Pleasure. Let me know if you have any questions. Of course. Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure.
All right, since we have Ricky here, of course, any photo op. Does anyone have any questions for Ricky? Any questions that we can ask him right here? Don't be shy. He's clearly shy and doesn't want to ask questions. Yes, please.
Great, that was a fantastic presentation. I'll project, no mic needed, but I'll give a comment. I'm Tom Michaels, for those that don't know me, I'm United Airlines Government Affairs. And the one thing that I would add that gives a little bit of extra context is the installation of this new facility, like the construction of the new Concourse E in Dulles. I think it really emphasizes how committed United is to growing Dulles as a business hub, moving as much traffic here from some of our more challenging areas to operate, like Newark, which we love. So I think that's a great, just bear that in mind, that the ability to do this, it really shows this long-term commitment to this area. But my question, which I was thinking, clearly a lot of your materials are designed to entice people to come work for United as a flight attendant, and I would sort of want to know where to sign up. But is the center going to be open for tours or for school groups or other types of community engagement so that people can, get a taste of life and whether they might be interested? What kind of opportunity is there?
Absolutely. We take a lot of pride in showing off our facilities, and anybody is welcome to send me an email. I can leave my business cards here. We can set up a tour. My only request is we're going to wait around a month after we open to make sure that we're not overwhelming the team. And the FAA is going to be here observing the devices, make sure they're operating correctly around 3-4 weeks. So we're going to be mindful of distractions while that's happening. But once we get to July, everybody's welcome. Let us know when you want to come. We do have small tours or larger tours, and we can accommodate all of that. And if you happen to be in another location, another hub for United, we can do the same at that training location. Great question.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
Perhaps I missed it. You mentioned audits a couple of times. Are these company audits, industry audits, government audits? Who's doing the audit?
Great question. The FAA. We have cabin safety inspectors. A regular carrier, smaller carrier, typically has 1 or 2 CSIs, cabin safety inspectors. United has 6 because of how large we are. So the inspectors very conveniently live in our hubs, so they just show up, often unannounced, and we welcome that. We really do. We have a great relationship with the FAA. And they're very complimentary of our training program. In fact, 0 findings in over 100 audits. That's significant. So is the cabin safety inspectors that come into the audit.
And then you mentioned that the models came from Dubai. I was curious if there's any interesting story behind why you were sourcing it from Dubai.
Well, there's only a handful of cabin trainer and door devices manufacturers around the world. It's not something that Boeing or Airbus will manufacture, which is unfortunate because you would think they will do them. But it's a company called Spatial, and Spatial is the pioneer on training devices for cabin and flight deck devices. So they are phenomenal, great partners, and they deliver really quality product. So they're based in Dubai. So that's why it comes from there. Wish they were closer because the shipping takes a long time.
Nancy, you got your assignment to get them relocated to
I'm gonna work with Brandon on that.
Can you come in?
You get to go to Dubai to bring it home.
I know.
I have to do that. Wait, I think, let me,
Jordan.
get your question. Oh, sorry.
I'm Johanna Grace Hessel. But what's your experience on the actual training changes as a result of a more anxious or agitated public, which it seems to be presented a lot in the media?
That's a great question. And we saw that, when COVID, during the mask mandate, a lot changed. And earlier I mentioned the escalation as part of a primary training that we offer our flight attendants, and that came a result of that. So the escalation tends to be the big focus, not only for us, the airline, but also the FAA. We're also focusing on customers who appear to be intoxicated. That's a very PC answer. So it would make sense, right? Because we go to the airports and we've all seen it. You see how many places are selling alcohol, some of them to go. So a customer should not get on board if they appear to be intoxicated. So making sure we have a great partnership with local airport businesses so they know the rules, but also our airport operations team members, the customer service representatives, and we work as a team to make sure that we're making the right decision every time that presents itself. But something else that we do, and it's not uncommon it's very common, I should say, for the airline industry, is flight attendant reporting. So we rely heavily on what we call ISAPs, that is an in-flight safety action plan. And flight attendants will let us know what they're seeing out there. And they have, if something notable happens, they have 24 hours to submit a report. And we collect all of that data and we see what's trending. That's how we know that intoxicated customers is trending. So we immediately enhance communication and training to address it. Did that answer the question?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
And we have time for one more question.
Hi. It sounds like you're putting forth a lot of effort to improve customer service. How are you measuring that? And are you getting passenger sentiment, customer sentiment?
Absolutely.
And how is that trending for you in terms of the measuring analytics?
I love that question because I'm a numbers guy, I'm a data guy, and absolutely we measure it. We have the NPS scores, right? If you fly United, you may have received an email and a text, because she's nodding. And we want to hear the good, bad, what we can improve. So the NPS, the way we collect that is related to how a new program, when I say new, is 2.5 years old. Flight attendants have an app, and we have similar to a Lyft or Uber driver app. You know how many stars they have? We do the same with our flight attendants. So after each flight, when you rate the crew, the flight attendants will get a star rating from 1 to 5. And then supervisors have quarterly meetings with them to let them know how they're trending. In the meantime, they're getting alerts saying, hi, you're great, you're trending at 4.5. And they receive prices, etc. The latest activity was the rodeo in Houston. It's a big deal in Houston. So the top 15% flight attendants receive tickets to go to the rodeo. So there's incentives, right, to make sure that the scores stay steady or go up. There's another program that we have in in-flight training called Service Line Checks. Service Line Checks is a Ghost Rider program. We have 15 team members dedicated to just that. All they do is fly around the system, domestic and international, observing the crew. And they take note in data collection for safety and service components. And at the end of the flight, the crew will be debriefed by the auditor. And the auditor will tell them in the moment, you nailed it on this items. However, we need to work on X, Y, Z. And then we do a follow-up line check evaluation on them 3 to 4 months later to see if we see improvement in customers' experience. Good.
Do you have any job vacancies?
Of course I do. I'll give you my card. What's your name?
John Lee with GAM.
Okay, you're coming. You're coming. You heard it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Yes.
We're all in the room, and I think we all want a job at United as a flight attendant. But can you just share with us, I'm workforce development for Loudoun County, but if we have individuals that are interested in working for United, what is the best way for them to connect with United, especially about this opportunity right in our backyard?
For being a flight attendant?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Great question.
Thank you.
Every question is great. We are in high demand and we will be happy. I will be happy to give you my card directly. Our application for flight attendant opens once a quarter for 24 to 36 hours. We just closed the last requisition, and in 24 hours we received over 12,000 applicants. Now, it's not impossible to get in. You know people. You know people. So, if you have a referral, we give priority to referrals. That's it. We know you. You know me. You know me. So it's a great question. So just looking for when the window is going to open. There is a landing page, careers at united.com/careers. Go to the flight attendant landing page, and we will tell you ahead of time when the application is opening. So nobody's surprised. Yes, it's a great question. We want great people, so please refer them.
A lot of other great jobs in United.
Don't listen to them, just flight attendant. Thank you. Thank you.
Now the April 9th job there.
Excellent segue, Scott. We are hosting our it's twice a year now, our job and career fair at Dulles Airport on April 9th. United will be there, hiring as well as our other airport partners, including NY, including TSA, FAA, all of those guys will be there as well. We're looking usually around between 28 and 35 employers is what we have typically. The last go around, we had over 900 people come that are looking for jobs at the airport, which has thousands of vacancies. All right, so please spread the word on that as well. 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. All right. So are we ready for door prizes? Are we ready for a drone?